Ethical egoism. Today we'll be focusing on two ethical issues: affirmative action in education and price gouging during crisis. These are both controversial topics because they deal with fairness, survival, and mortality in times of tension. But instead of looking at them through fairness or collective happiness, we'll be analyzing them through the lens of ethical egoism. Ethical egoism argues that people are morally obligated to act in their own self-interest. This perspective is often criticized as selfish, but egoist argues it's rational and natural. It doesn't encourage foolishness or chaos. It encourages protecting one's own survival, dignity, and success. To illustrate this, we'll be using two case studies: the Fisher versus University of Texas 2016, where a student challenged race-conscious admissions, and the COVID-19 price gouging crisis in 2020. When sellers raised price on essentials like hand sanitizers along the way, we'll be highlighting different quotations from philosophers and ethical theories to show how egoism stands apart from Kantian duty and utilitarian happiness. What is ethical egoism? Ethical egoism begins with a simple but radical principle. People ought to do only those things that are in their own best interest. This means morality isn't about helping others or sacrificing for the group. It's about protecting and advocating for yourself. Rand, one of the strongest defenders of egoism, argued that altruism leads to the denial of the value of the individual. In other hands, when society demands that you sacrifice your goals for others, it erases your dignity, and where egoism insists that the individual is the foundation of morality, not the collective. This philosophy is important because it exposes the reality of how people often act. Nations prioritize their own society. Businesses prioritize profit. Students prioritize their own success. Egoism doesn't pretend otherwise. It says this is not only natural but moral. So when we look at affirmative action or price gouging, egoism asks, does this policy or action serve the individual's self-interest? If it does, it's moral. If it sacrifices the individual for the group, egoism and affirmative action. The Fisher versus Texas. Let's apply egoism to affirmative action. In Fisher v. University of Texas 2016, Abigail Fisher argues she was unfairly denied admission because of race-conscious admission policies. From an egoist perspective, her claim is valid. Her individual merit and self-interest were sacrificed for a collective policy designed to benefit disadvantaged groups. Rand's quote, "Altruism leads to the denial of the value of the individual," fits perfectly here. Affirmative action, while designed to promote fairness for groups, denies Fisher's individual values. Egoism sees this as immoral because it harms her self-interest. Now, egoism doesn't say Fisher should care about the collective outcome. It says her moral obligation is to herself. If she is qualified, she deserves admission based on her merit, not on group-based considerations. This highlights egoism's sharp contrast with other ethical theories. Kantian ethics might argue that fairness can be universalized, and utilitarianism might argue that affirmative action increases overall happiness. But egoism rejects both. It insists that mortality is about Fisher's self-interest, not the collective good. This case shows how egoism can clash with policies designed to promote equality. It forces us to ask, is justice about protecting the individual or about balancing opportunities for groups? Egoism answers firmly, the individual comes first.
Now let's look at price gouging during the COVID-19 pandemic. Sellers raised price on essentials like hand sanitizer, masks, and cleaning supplies. Many people saw this as exploitation, but egoism defends it. The quote, "Self-centered acts are moral. It is our natural duty and obligation to act in our own interests," explains why sellers acted rationally. Demand was high, supply was limited, prices protected their survival and profit. Egoism says this is moral because it serves this individual self-interest. Critics argue this increases suffering, but egoism doesn't measure morality by whether an action benefits the individual. From this perspective, Stellars weren't immoral, they were rational. Kantian ethics offers a very different perspective. Kant's categorical imperative says, act only according to that maxim whereby you can at the same time will that shall not become an universal law. This means morality is about duty and universal fairness. If everyone raised prices during a crisis, society would collapse. So Kant says price gouging is immoral. If everyone denied admission based on race, fairness would collapse. So Kant might support affirmative action. Egoism rejects this. Egoism doesn't ask if an action can be universalized. It asks if it benefits the individual. This contrast shows how egoism stands apart from the duty-based ethics. Egoism says morality is about rules, it's about rational self-interest. Utilitarianism also contrasts sharply with egoism. Jeremy Bentham wrote, "The greatest happiness of the greatest number is the foundation of moral and legislation." This means morality is about maximizing happiness for the majority. Affirmative action is moral if it increases opportunities for marginalized groups. Price gouging is immoral if it increases suffering during crisis. Egoism rejects this. Egoism says morality isn't about the majority, it's about the individual. If raising prices benefits the seller, it's moral even if others suffer. If denying admission protects one student's merit, it's moral even if others lose opportunities. This contrast shows how egoism prioritizes the individual over the collective. It forces us to ask, should morality protect the majority or the individual? Egoism answers, always the individual.